Well,
the German Chancellor has had a very important election, and her role, obviously, she's been the star, and she got very direct support from the German people, and now she's compelled to form a coalition government. Now, I had the chance to talk to her. She wants a stable coalition, which is natural, but she also wants things to be resolved as quickly as possible. I think that German policy isn't going to see any substantial changes after these elections. I think this policy has been changed in recent months as they go. Their objectives are the same. The goals are to grow, to create jobs, to cut the deficit with structural changes. But all these things should be done with a certain amount of flexibility and not to avoid generating impossible situations. Now, in in Europe, we're better than we were before. The dark clouds have been dispelled, and I really don't think that we're going to see substantial changes in European policy.
When I think about some of the German policies for Europe, I think of austerity. You yourself are set to pronounce a budget on Friday for next year. How do you walk the line between the budget cuts and the higher taxes and the very fragile economic growth that you're already seeing?
We had a much more difficult time last year. In 2012, Spain had a public deficit of 9%. And in just 1 year, we've cut it. Even though we were in a recession, we've cut it to only 7%. And so we had to raise taxes. We had to make important public spending cuts. But I think all of these efforts, as well as the structural reforms that we made, have borne their fruit. They've had good results. And now in Spain, the debate isn't, is Spain going to have a bailout? Does the euro have a future or not? Is the risk premium going to keep going up? No. Now the debate is, when is Spain going to recover, and how strong will that recovery be? Right now, Spain is coming out of its recession, and next year Spain is going to have major economic growth. Next Friday, with the budget, we are going to set our target at 0.7%. The consensus of the analysts is that we're going to have a 1% growth. We want to be cautious, and that's always worked well for us, so we're satisfied with the 0.7% forecast. We cut the deficit, and that was what we were promised to do. We want to see more economic growth, and we want to be able to reduce the deficit even more with that growth.
On this idea of the budget deficit, for this year, although your administration says that you're on track to meet the target, even the ECB is questioning that, and many are questioning whether you can actually meet the budget target this year. Would you be willing to pursue additional cuts in order to do that, or risk roiling the markets again?
We're not going to do that because we're going to meet our budget targets. Now, just think, this very Friday, we are going to make public that last year's deficit was not 7%, it was better. It was 6.8%. So we're not going to have any more budget cuts over the course of this year, because we've also seen a very important thing, which is that the risk premium has gone down. And so as a result, things are better in Europe. And in Spain, we've done our homework, and it's going to be a lot of savings for the public purse. We're talking about billions of euros here, and that's going to enable us to deal with the most important, most complicated aspect of the deficit, which is Social Security. And so in 2013, Spain is going to meet its target, as it did last year, and also right now, Spain is coming out of recession, and we're going towards a future that is hopeful, and we have to work hard, but we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel.
But what's missing still are jobs, and we still continue to see elevated unemployment in Spain, the second highest in Europe next to Greece. 1 in 4 Spaniards are out of work. How do you deal with that?
Well, that's our national goal. Our national goal is to grow and to create jobs. And to grow and to create jobs, we have had to do everything we've done until now, the reforms and deficit control, and we're going to have to do even more moving forward. But I'm going to give you a figure that is very positive. We approved a labor reform last year that's already starting to have an impact. Youth unemployment is so high in Spain, but for the first time in a long time, it's falling. The number of unemployed youth in Spain is falling. 5.2% drop over 2012 in youth unemployment. Now, we're not satisfied with that, but it gives us the ability to move on, and we look at the unemployment rates. We've had the best since 1999, 2000. And so there's still so much to do, but we're moving in the right direction.